Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're not just scratching the surface. We are uh, really plunging into one of the most transformative and honestly often misunderstood books out there on personal achievement. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Right.
And this isn't just about, financial success, although it definitely talks about that. It's more like a deep dive into a complete mental blueprint, really, for crafting the life you want.
Exactly, a whole framework.
We've pulled together a pretty rich stack of sources for this deep dive, including, of course, core bits from Hill's work itself.
The original text is crucial.
Yeah, and our mission isn't just to, list the famous 13 principles. We want to cut through the common takes and pull out the really insightful, actionable stuff, the why and the how behind these ideas that have, well, helped millions for generations. You might think you know this book, but we're going to try and shed light on some of the nuances that make it still so powerful today.
And what's really fascinating here, though, beyond just the promise of getting rich, is the rigor behind how Hill put this together.
Right.
I mean, this isn't some modern self-help trend that just popped up. It came out originally in 1937.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was the result of over 20 years of intense study. Andrew Carnegie actually commissioned it.
No kidding. Carnegie himself.
Yeah. He'll meticulously study the habits, the mindsets, the strategies of over 500 really successful people of that era. We're talking titans like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and Carnegie, obviously. It just shows how timeless these core ideas about achievement really are. The fundamentals haven't changed that much.
Absolutely. So we're basically talking about a shortcut to understanding the essence of success in any field, like Hill says, not just what these giants did, but crucially how they thought.
Exactly. The mindset.
Okay, let's jump straight into those foundational principles Hill identified, starting with, well, arguably the most powerful one, desire.
Yeah, desire.
So Hill starts with desire, but, he doesn't mean just casually wanting something, not a fleeting wish.
Not at all.
He insists on a strong, burning desire, like an obsession almost, that's strong enough to just push past procrastination and doubt. The unique thing here seems to be the emotional intensity and the absolute specificity he demands.
Yes, both are key.
It's about nailing down your goal with, almost brutal precision. So saying, I will have $50,000 by January 1st, 2026, not just, I'd like to be rich someday.
Right. That difference is huge.
And then you have to anchor that with real emotional charge so it becomes less a thought and more a deeply felt reality, like a command to your subconscious.
That specificity, it's absolutely crucial. Hill saw that vague hopes just don't cut it. They don't activate the mental machinery you need. When you define your desire exactly a specific amount, a specific position, a clear outcome, it gives your mind a concrete target. Otherwise, your efforts are scatter, right? Your subconscious doesn't really know what it's aiming for.
Right.
It's like programming a GPS. You need a precise address or it's useless.
That makes sense. So, okay, once that desire is crystal clear and charged up with emotion, Hill immediately brings in faith. But this isn't just thinking positive thoughts, is it? How did Hill really see faith differently from just, basic optimism?
That's a great question because, yeah, this is where people often get it slightly wrong. For Hill, faith isn't passive hope. It's an active, unwavering conviction, a deep belief in your ability to get what you desire, no matter how big it seems at first.
Okay, active conviction.
Yeah. Hill saw the people he studied cultivating a belief so strong, it practically became a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Because when you genuinely believe, you don't just think positive things, you naturally start acting in ways that line up with that belief. You take smart risks, you push through setbacks, and importantly, you start seeing opportunities where other people just see roadblocks.
So it changes your behavior automatically almost.
Pretty much. It's an internal state that really drives your external actions.
Now, I'm really fascinated by autosuggestion as the tool to actually build that faith. We hear about positive affirmations all the time, but Hill seems to take it deeper into reprogramming.
Yeah.
What's the core difference there? Why did he think this was so fundamental?
Well, the difference is pretty profound, actually. Affirmations can sometimes feel a bit superficial, right? Just saying words. But autosuggestion, for Hill, is a systematic, daily process. You're consciously feeding your subconscious mind positive statements and really vivid mental images.
The imagery, too.
Exactly. It's the channel, you see, to communicate your desires and your faith directly to that deeper, more powerful part of your mind. He believed our subconscious doesn't really know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined or told to it over and over again.
Okay.
So by constantly repeating your specific desire and visualizing yourself already having it, feeling it, you're not just hoping, you're actively conditioning your mental landscape, creating like a mental magnet to pull your goals towards you.
Right, conditioning. Okay, so we've got the mental groundwork, that burning desire, the solid faith, and programming the subconscious. Now, how does Hill say we actually move from this internal world to, getting real results? He doesn't just leave it there.
No, definitely not. Wishful thinking wasn't his thing.
He bridges right over to action with specialized knowledge.
Absolutely. And he's quite direct about this. He argues that general knowledge, the kind you just pick up here and there, isn't really enough for big success or wealth. What's critical is specialized knowledge. The specific skills, the facts, the insights that are directly relevant to whatever you're trying to achieve.
Right, specific to your goal.
Exactly. But the really powerful insight here is that you don't necessarily need to have all this specialized knowledge yourself. Hill saw that successful people often surround themselves with experts, people who fill in their knowledge gaps. Think about Thomas Edison's lab, his invention factory. That was a true mastermind of specialized knowledge. Edison himself was brilliant at synthesizing, not necessarily the single source of every bit of expertise.
So it's about leveraging other people's brains too.
Precisely. Leveraging collective intelligence.
Okay, expanding on that, Hill then goes into imagination, the mind's workshop, as he calls it. And he makes this really interesting distinction between creative imagination for brand new ideas and synthetic imagination, which is more about rearranging existing ideas in new ways.
Yes, that distinction is key.
And he says a lot of fortunes are built just by turning these imaginative ideas into something real.
Yeah, this is where the innovation happens. Creative imagination is like the light bulb moment, something totally new. Synthetic imagination is more about refining, optimizing, taking existing stuff and combining it differently. Henry Ford's assembly line is the classic example, right? He didn't invent the car, but he completely reimagined how to build it, making it affordable for millions. Hill really believed the mind, through imagination, could turn these abstract thoughts into solid plans, and those plans could become huge successes.
But those brilliant ideas, whether they're brand new or just cleverly recombined, they need structure to actually happen.
Definitely.
Which brings us to organized planning. Hill's very clear. A plan with no action is basically useless. But just as important, you have to be willing to change that plan if it hits roadblocks or just isn't working.
It has to be flexible.
It's more like an iterative process, not some rigid map you follow blindly.
And this loops back to a core lesson threaded through the whole book. Failure is temporary if you learn and persist.
Right, it's temporary defeat.
Hill didn't see setbacks as a sign to quit. He saw them as essential feedback. The successful people he studied were masters of adapting. They'd figure out what went wrong, tweak the plan, and go again, often with even more drive.
So the cost of not planning or sticking rigidly to a bad plan is way worse than the effort of just refining it as you go.
Exactly. Constant refinement is key.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting, and maybe a bit overlooked sometimes as a core trait. Decision.
Ah, yes, decision. Crucial.
Successful people, Hill found, make decisions quickly, firmly, and this is key, they rarely change them once made. He actually calls indecision and procrastination enemies of progress. They basically paralyze you before you even get started.
That's such a powerful distinction, and it's a trait he saw again and again among the wealthy. So often, people just overthink things, right? They get stuck in analysis paralysis, weighing every single option forever.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
We all are. But Hill suggests that a good decision made quickly, even if you have to adjust it a bit later, is usually far better than making no decision at all. It builds momentum. It lets you get real-world feedback. It makes you an active participant in your own life instead of just watching things happen. Think about Carnegie making those bold moves in steel or Rockefeller in oil. They didn't sit around deliberating for months. They acted, and then they adjusted if they needed to.
But some might say, isn't that encouraging recklessness? How does Hill balance making quick decisions with, actually thinking things through?
Yeah, good point. It's not really about being impulsive. It's more about having confidence that's rooted in that initial burning desire and that unwavering faith we talked about.
Okay.
It's about trusting your intuition, which you've hopefully cultivated, often after doing your homework, just not endless homework. The speed comes from having that clarity of purpose and conviction, not from just winging it.
Right.
The truly successful people don't just guess. They decide based on their specialized knowledge, maybe advice from their mastermind group, and then they commit. The wisdom comes from the process of having built up the other principles first.
Got it. So the bridge then between making that decision and actually achieving something long-term is persistence.
Yes, the staying power.
This is probably the principle that really separates the winners from the quitters, right? Hill notes that most people just give up way too soon. They hit some temporary defeat and that's it.
Throw in the towel.
Yeah, so he emphasizes how absolutely vital it is to develop that habit of just pushing through even when it gets tough, even when it feels like all hope is lost.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it's not just an isolated principle. Hill brilliantly shows how persistence isn't just about being gritty for no reason.
Right.
It's directly fueled by how deep your initial desire is and how solid your faith is. Those things you cultivated earlier, they create this powerful feedback loop.
Ah, it connects back.
Totally. When your desire is strong enough, setbacks just feel like temporary hurdles, not, impossible walls. Hill saw his subjects treat defeat not as a stop sign, but as a challenge to find a better route, learn something, and push even harder. It's resilience that's born from real conviction.
Okay, another cornerstone, and one that's maybe often misunderstood, is the mastermind.
The mastermind. Very powerful concept.
This isn't just like networking or joining some business club, is it?
No, it's deeper than that.
It's about intentionally surrounding yourself with a group of smart, supportive people who share a common goal or purpose. Hill believed this collaboration creates a kind of synergy where the group's combined effort and intelligence becomes way bigger than what any one person could do alone.
Yeah, you could call it exponential growth. The mastermind principle for Hill was really a strategic necessity. He saw that great minds hardly ever achieve huge things totally alone. By forming an alliance, he defined it as two or more people working in perfect harmony towards a specific goal. You gain access to shared knowledge, different perspectives, support, and really importantly, accountability.
Right. Accountability keeps you on track.
Exactly. Hill even credited his own mastermind alliance for a lot of his success. It kind of protects you from negativity, gives you resources you might lack personally, and just amplifies everyone's abilities. It speeds up success in ways you just can't achieve solo.
Okay, Hill then goes even deeper into how the mind works, especially with the subconscious mind.
Yeah, this gets into some fascinating territory.
He describes it as the crucial link between our conscious thoughts and what he called universal intelligence, sort of a vast collective pool of ideas and solutions.
Infinite intelligence, he sometimes called it.
And he stresses that the key is to feed it positive emotions, faith, love, enthusiasm, to attract success, and to be really vigilant about guarding against the negative ones like fear, doubt, anger, which he believed actually repel achievement.
Right. This universal intelligence, you could interpret it in different ways, maybe collective consciousness, maybe just the limitless creative potential out there beyond our immediate grasp.
Okay.
But Hill's insight is that the subconscious isn't just sitting there passively. It's like this incredible processing engine that acts on the dominant thoughts and emotions you feed it.
So it's active.
Very active. So consciously flooding it with unwavering faith and real enthusiasm isn't just about feeling good. It's actively programming your internal GPS, let's say, to attract the circumstances and ideas that match your desire. While fear, on the other hand, acts like mental static, just blocking those signals.
And building on that, he talks about the brain not just as an organ, but as this sophisticated broadcasting and receiving station for thoughts.
Yeah, the broadcasting analogy is interesting.
He suggests thoughts aren't just internal things, they're powerful, energetic vibrations. So when you consistently focus on a goal, you're essentially broadcasting that frequency. And that makes you tuned in to receive similar ideas, opportunities, maybe even connect with other people thinking along the same lines. It's about mental resonance.
Exactly.
So then this sixth sense he talked about sounds like it's sort of an advanced intuition that comes after you've really mastered the other principles.
That's precisely it. The sixth sense isn't really mystical, like psychic powers or anything. It's more the culmination of training your mind effectively through all the steps that came before.
Okay.
It's that intuitive ability that allows for flashes of inspiration, hunches, ideas that seem to pop up out of nowhere, beyond just step-by-step logic. Your subconscious mind, now programmed with clear desires and strong faith, and your brain, tuned like that receiver, just become highly perceptive.
So it's the aha moment.
Exactly. The sudden insight that solves a complex problem without you consciously wrestling with it because you've created the right internal conditions for that insight to emerge.
And this is a big but. For all these powerful principles to actually work, Hill gives this major warning. They can all be completely undermined by one universal obstacle.
Fear.
Yes, fear is the big one, the great inhibitor.
He identifies 6 basic fears he believed hold people back more than anything else. The fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of losing love, fear of old age, and finally, the fear of death.
It's a critical point he makes. And why these specific 6? Well, because they hit us right at our core, needs security, belonging, survival itself.
Primal stuff.
Absolutely. Fear, Hill argues, just paralyzes action. It leads straight back to indecision, and it completely sabotages persistence. It's the ultimate internal barrier, really,
Yeah.
capable of just shutting down all the other principles if you let it.
Hill believed that identifying and then consciously conquering these fears, especially the fear of poverty and the fear of criticism, which often stop people from even starting, is absolutely essential. You can't take the bold steps needed for big achievement if you're controlled by fear.
So it requires real introspection, then, analyzing your fears and actively replacing them with faith and decision.
Exactly. It's about analysis, understanding where the fear comes from, and then consciously choosing faith and decisive action instead.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what does this really mean for you, the listener, as you're trying to navigate your own goals and dreams in, today's world?
Well, to summarize, I think it's crucial to remember Think and Grow Rich is definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme. It never was.
Right, it's much deeper.
Much deeper. It's a profound, really detailed guide to cultivating the mindset, the habits, and the right associations of genuinely successful people. Wealth, success, personal fulfillment. Hill argues they aren't accidents. They're the direct result of deliberate desire, unwavering belief, careful planning, relentless persistence, and crucially, managing your own mind strategically. It's really a holistic philosophy for life, not just for business.
Yeah, it really proves that success truly begins in the mind. That consistent thread through all 13 principles is that you fundamentally have the power to shape your reality. You do that by consciously directing your thoughts and your actions.
That's it.
It's a really empowering message, isn't it? It's about personal agency. It reminds us that we're meant to be the architects of our own destiny, not just, passengers along for the ride.
Absolutely. Hill's work really pushes you to think critically about your own beliefs, your own habits, and it shows you how to systematically build the internal conditions, and the external ones too, for achieving even your most ambitious goals. It really boils down to self-mastery, first and foremost.
So, something for you to reflect on. As you've listened today, which single principle from Think and Grow Rich really resonates the most with you right now? Which one do you think could have the most immediate impact if you actually applied it diligently to one of your current goals?
That's a great question to ponder.
And maybe, even more importantly, what fear, one of those 6 basic fears, or maybe another one might be standing in your way? What's stopping you from fully embracing and applying that principle right now?
Yeah, identifying that fear is key.
Well, thanks for diving deep with us today on The Deep Dive. We really hope this has given you a fresh perspective on cultivating your own path to success and unlocking more of your potential.